Hi guys, welcome to the video. In this one I'm going to be detailing my very neglected Skoda Octavia VRS. So whilst these before shots are playing, I thought I'd tell you some background about this car. It's been sitting for roughly 4 years. I've done a couple of videos on getting it back on the road and MOT'd again. So if you haven't seen those and you're into these revival type videos, please check them out. The car is covered in all kinds of dirt and mould, just inside and out really. So I hope you're looking forward to seeing this car get cleaned and transformed in this video. So on this one, because of how just dirty the paint was, I decided that I would use a citrus pre-wash and leave this to sit for 5 to 10 minutes before I actually started the initial rinse. So with the initial rinse done, I moved on to the wheels. I use a wheel and tyre cleaner here and I scrubbed this in, and then I moved on to using an iron contaminant remover. But on the other side I decided I'd use these both in conjunction and it worked quite well, so I'll be doing this in future. the engine bay, I spray this down with a degreaser and then I scrub this in using a selection of different brushes. I cover up any sensitive electronic parts so that they don't get water blasted into them, and I'm also careful with the jet wash as I move it across the engine so I don't force water into anything that doesn't want water forced into it.
So the snow foam that I'm using here is Wax Planet's 8 Below. I find this is a good snow foam because it actually does quite a bit of cleaning, and it also has the added benefit of being quite thick and lingering around for a while, so it does have a longer work time.
So just before I move on to contact washing the car, I do the door jambs. For this I just use a degreaser, I brush it in and then I jet wash it off.
So after drying the car, I brought it inside for paintwork decontamination. I expected this to be tar or iron fallout, but both of those removers would not take this out, so I took it back outside, I snow foamed it for a layer of lubrication, and then I clayed the entire car. So with the paint decontaminated now, it's time for me to move into the interior. I started by hoovering the interior. I've only left the best bits in here because in my last few videos I've not had very good viewer retention times over the hoovering sections, so I've only left a minute or so of hoovering in. It's all sped up and it's all the best bits. So this door card was a bit of a nightmare with all the mould that was stuck in it and the fact that it had just dirt ingrained into it anyway. It took quite a few passes. This is the first pass I did. I didn't film any of the subsequent passes because we'd be here all day, but in the end the appearance was drastically improved. So this rear seat was much the same story as the door card. I tried multiple different methods to get the mould out and I was really struggling. I did 10 passes on this rear seat, just the bottom of it, and in the end the method that I found actually started to shift it a bit was using a Simone's like carpet cleaner, spraying that in and using the incredibly stiff brush that comes on the top of it. Using that did seem to shift it, but it still took 2 or 3 passes after using that. So I've just shown 2 of the passes here in this video. It was a real nightmare to move. So after I'd finished with the extraction, I moved on to cleaning the other part of the seat, the leather. For this I use Autoglim's leather cleaner, and I later come back through with the leather conditioner. I find that using just a general all-purpose cleaner, degreaser, doesn't really do good for the leather, so I tend to use something like a leather specific cleaner because it just works better and leaves the leather feeling a lot nicer afterwards. So with the leather cleaned, it was time for me to move on to cleaning the rest of the interior, all the plastics. For this, I just use an APC that's diluted 20:1. So with the interior clean, it was time for me to dress it. I use Autoglim's leather conditioner for the leather, and then I use MLM's dressing for the interior plastics. So with this dressing, I just tend to apply it to the plastics and then not buff it off. The only part that I do buff off is on top of the dashboard, because I find that this can get glare, but otherwise I find it's quite good at hiding scratches. So with the interior all done and dressed, it was time for me to move on to polishing the exterior. I used Chemical Guy's VSS here. I find that that's quite a good product for single stage polishing. So right here you can see in this comparison shot, as you see the fluorescent light on the top, it moves from the polished area to the non-polished area. You can see the difference. So if you're wondering why there's tape all over the plastics here, it's just to stop any polish staining these, because it does sometimes stain these plastics. So after all the polishing was done, I went around with isopropyl alcohol just to clear off any polish residue, and then I moved on to applying a sealant. The next step was to dress the exterior plastics and the tyres. I decided I'd give the exhaust a bit of a polish here. I used Autosol's metal polish and I'm pretty happy with the result. So the final stage then was to clean the glass. I used 2 waffle weave towels. I used one to apply the glass cleaner and one to wipe it off. So overall then, it's a much nicer car to look at, and it's a much nicer place to be. I was really quite happy with how this came out. The final thing that I did was just stick some mats in the footwells, just so I didn't have to extract that awful white carpet again. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.